Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next 1 hour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates the Ashtalakshmi Mahotsav in Delhi, says the Northeast holds immense potential to propel the country's growth. Thousands flee Syrian city of Homs as Islamist-led rebels advance further. In a first high-level visit to Bangladesh since Mohammad Yunus took over, India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri to visit Bangladesh on Monday. South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol's troubles increase as his own party comes out in support of impeaching him, even as protesters demand his arrest. The vibrant hues of northeast India came to Delhi's bustling streets, creating a tapestry of cultural fusion at the inaugural edition of the Ashtalakshmi Mahotsav. The festival was inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and showcases the cultural and economic fabric of 8 northeast states of India. The festival is the culmination of Prime Minister Modi's vision of the region's development through its entrepreneurial potential and global outreach. DD India correspondent Anil Thomas has the details.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Ashtalakshmi Mahotsav. The 3-day Mahotsav provides an unprecedented platform to showcase the region's vibrant textile industry, artisanal crafts, and unique geographical indication products. The event began with a symphony of all cultures of Northeast states and came for praise from the Prime Minister.
Northeast को हम इमोशन, इकोनॉमी और इकोलॉजी इस त्रिवेणी से जोड़ रहे हैं। नॉर्थ ईस्ट से हम सिर्फ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं बना रहे, बल्कि भविष्य की एक सशक्त नींव तैयार कर रहे हैं। बीते दशकों में नॉर्थ ईस्ट की बहुत बड़ी चुनौती रही थी कनेक्टिविटी। दूर सुदूर के शहरों में पहुंचने के लिए कई कई दिन और हफ्ते लग जाते थे। हालत ये थी कि ट्रेन की सुविधा तक कई राज्यों में नहीं थी। इसलिए 2014 के बाद हमारी सरकार ने फिजिकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर भी और सोशल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर भी बहुत ज्यादा फोकस किया। इससे नॉर्थ ईस्ट में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की क्वालिटी और लोगों के जीवन की क्वालिटी दोनों में जबरदस्त सुधार हुआ।
The event fosters long-term business relationships between Northeast artisans and buyers. It provides investors an opportunity to meet with government representatives and entrepreneurs to discuss investment opportunities in textiles, handicrafts, agriculture and tourism.
हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी की सोच और विचारधारा कि लुक ईस्ट को त्याग करके एक्ट ईस्ट के पथ पर भारत चले और उससे जो एक नया उदय हमारे उत्तर पूर्वी क्षेत्र में हुआ है और जिस क्षेत्र में विकास की पटरी बहुत दूर पे होती थी, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने ये स्वाभाविक रूप से तय कर दिया कि पूर्वोत्तर भारत का ग्रोथ इंजन बनेगा।
The 8 northeastern states, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Manipur, Nagaland, Mizoram, Tripura and Sikkim are often referred to as the Ashtalakshmi or 8 forms of prosperity. They contribute significantly to India's cultural, social and economic fabric. Mascot Purvi, an embodiment of elements from all 8 states, was also present as the commemorative stamp was released by the Prime Minister.
The Ashtalakshmi Mahotsav with all its splendor is in the national capital. this particular 8 forms of goddess Lakshmi and the 8 northeastern states have something in common. It's just not a celebration. It's a festival of well-being, wealth and prosperity. With Marklin, Anil Thomas, DD India, New Delhi.
And as India celebrates the Ashtalakshmi Mahotsav in the national capital, we now travel to the northeast Indian state of Meghalaya, often referred to as the abode of the clouds. It's also the hub for the exquisite eri silk. This indigenous craft not only preserves the rich cultural heritage of the state, but also provides livelihood to thousands of families. We bring you a closer look at the journey of the eri silk in Meghalaya in this report.
Deep in the serene Devon Umden village of Meghalaya, the eri silkworm thrives. Zonghi, a family-run business established by Tander Mung in 2009, has become one such flourishing enterprise specializing in eri silk production in this village. Unlike other varieties of silk, eri is derived from the domesticated Samia ricini moth, which feeds primarily on castor leaves. The centerpiece of Zonghi's production is the traditional women's attire, locally known as rindia, that is traditional shawl, and jensem, that is khasi sari, which have gained immense popularity. Moreover, the eri silk weaving is also providing employment opportunities to women. Zonghi, with its workshop employing 15 women, engaged in spinning, weaving and designing, contributing to their financial independence and social upliftment.
Zonghi has generated lots of employment opportunity to women. They can apply to us, those who are from low generate income or below poverty line income people. They can apply the scholarship for Zonghi.
Eri silk is known for its durability, warmth and unique texture, making it a sought-after fabric for both traditional and contemporary designs. Its appeal has extended beyond Meghalaya, with markets across India and even abroad recognizing its value. From the rearing fields to the fashion rams, eri silk from Meghalaya is not just a fabric, it's a testament to the state's rich heritage and sustainable craftsmanship. As demand grows, so does the promise of economic upliftment for the local artisans. If you are visiting Meghalaya, wrap yourself in the warmth of this rich fabric of eri silk. It's definitely a collection to be made. With eri silk weaving the threads of tradition and modernity, Meghalaya's silk story is truly one to watch. Bureau Report, DD India, Shillong.
And both houses of parliament stand adjourned till Monday following the uproar on different issues. The upper house, that's the Rajya Sabha, had to be adjourned after a ruckus on the cash row, while the Lok Sabha got adjourned amidst noisy scenes by the opposition on remarks made against Congress leader Rahul Gandhi by the BJP MP Nishikant Dubey. Vishal Barrister reports.
The cash row struck the upper house with the chair announcing the discovery of a bundle of Indian currency. The chairman of the house, Jagdeep Dhankar, informed the house that a wad of Indian currency notes were found on the seat number 222 assigned to Congress MP Abhishek Manu Singhvi. An investigation has been ordered by the chair in this regard.
The matter was brought to my notice and I felt it expedient as per practice and ordainment to ensure that investigation takes place in accordance with law, and the same is underway.
Reacting to the announcement, leader of the opposition and Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge said that till the investigation is over, the name should not be disclosed. Later, the concerned MP from Congress rubbished the whole episode.
I think more important is that everything in the House should not lead to cheap tactics and arop, pratyarop, allegation, counter-allegation for everything. I think it remains our level.
Responding to the cash row, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju said he agrees with the observation of the chairman that there must be a serious investigation and the concerns raised by the members are also very genuine. He said one should not have any objection to it.
It is a serious matter, and I fully agree with the observation of the Honourable Chairman that there must be serious investigation, and the concern raised by the Honourable members are also very genuine.
Leader of the House and Union Minister J.P. Nadda also echoed the same views, saying that it is an unprecedented incident and everyone should condemn it. He said such incidents lower the dignity of the upper house.
With healthy mind and with healthy spirit, we should take it and the investigation should continue और डिटेल आना चाहिए. साथ ही साथ इस घटना को कंडेम सभी लोगों को करना चाहिए.
In the lower house, that is the Lok Sabha, when the lower house reassembled after the first adjournment at 12 noon, BJP MP Nishikant Dubey repeated his Thursday's allegations that a US-based investor, a foreign media platform, and the Congress are trying to derail India's success story. Opposition members led by the Congress created ruckus on Dubey's allegations against the leader of the opposition Rahul Gandhi and other Congress leaders. The presiding officer adjourned the House for the day.
Well, the first 2 weeks of the winter session have been purely antithesis, especially when it comes to operations, deliberations and discussions along with passing of bills in Parliament. Week 1, the opposition seemed united and put up protests time and again, and Parliament was disrupted for the entire week. However, week 2, chinks in the opposition armour were clearly seen and Parliament functioned smoothly for the entire 5-day period with almost 4 bills. 2 bills in the Rajya Sabha, 2 bills in the Lok Sabha getting passed. With my colleague Vishal Baristo and camera person SP Dubey, Anil Thomas, DD India, New Delhi.
India's Minister of State for Information Broadcasting, Dr. L. Murugan, has said that the government is committed to take all possible actions to control the spread of fake and misleading information, which has the potential to weaken democracy and create fissures in society. In a written reply to the Rajya Sabha on Friday, Dr. Murugan said that the government has statutory and institutional mechanisms in place to address fake news on various media platforms. He said a fact-check unit has been set up under the PIB or the Press Information Bureau in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting in November 2019 to counter fake news relating to the central government. Murugan informed for print media, the newspapers have to adhere to the norms of the journalistic conduct brought out by the Press Council of India, which restrains publication of fake or defamatory or misleading news. He said the content on TV channels is required to adhere to the program code under the Cable Television Networks Regulation Act 1995, which provides that no content which contains anything obscene, defamatory, deliberate, false and suggestive innuendos and half-truths is broadcast on private satellite TV channels. With regard to digital news publishers, Dr. Murugan said the Government of India notified IT Rules 2021 under the IT Act. These rules provide for code of ethics for publishers of news and current affairs on digital media, which requires adherence to the norms of journalistic conduct brought out by the PCI and the program code under Cable Television Network Regulation Act 1995. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is on a 2-day visit to Qatar, where he will participate in the Doha Forum at the invitation of Prime Minister of Qatar and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the State of Qatar, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani. During his second leg of the visit, he will travel to Bahrain on the 8th and 9th of December, where he will co-chair the 4th India-Bahrain High Joint Commission with the Foreign Minister of Bahrain, Dr. Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al Zayani. The ministerial meeting will review the entire gamut of bilateral relations and discuss avenues to further strengthen the multifaceted ties between India and Bahrain. The External Affairs Minister will also participate in the 20th edition of the IISS Manama Dialogue in Bahrain on the 8th of December. And still to come on DD India News Hour, French President Emmanuel Macron pledges to stay in office until the end of his term. Russia says Trump's threats cannot stop the BRICS payment system. Global trade to hit a record $33 trillion in 2024, says UNCTAD report.
We are doing a youth dialogue on Indian foreign policy with 30 outstanding, most talented young people from various colleges and universities across India.
The youth bulge in our country is more interested in knowing about what is going on in the world.
We need to see where our interest lies, be it in economic sphere or the soft power diplomacy, trade and other negotiations, also strategic balancing.
What S. Jaishankar actually brought to the table was, as Foreign Secretary as well as the Foreign Affairs Minister, the strategic clarity that India has.
You're watching the India News Hour. I'm Amritpal Singh. Syria's civil war is back in the spotlight after a new rebel coalition launched a surprise attack and captured two major cities. The commander of a Kurdish-led force in Syria said that he's open to talks with Islamist rebels or Islamist-led rebels whose offensive had created a new political and military reality. On Friday, foreign ministers of Iraq, Iran and Syria discussed the recent developments in Baghdad. India has also noted recent escalation in Syria and is closely monitoring the situation. DD India brings you the latest on this.
Tens of thousands of people are fleeing Syria's third largest city, Homs, in fear that Islamist-led rebels will continue to advance towards the capital Damascus. The rebel group seized Hama city on Thursday in a major blow to President Bashar al-Assad, who lost control of Aleppo last week. Syrian rebels launched a surprise offensive against the government and captured two major cities so far. After the Syrian military lost control of Hama city, it is not clear whether it will be able to defend Homs. Homs is the strategic city that links Damascus to the Alevite heartland on the Mediterranean coast and Assad's key to his grip in power.
We went to de-escalate with Hayat Tahrir al-Sam and other parties and to resolve our problem through dialogue with all parties.
The escalation in Syria has displaced around 280,000 people in just over a week. The United Nations warned that numbers could swell to 1.5 million.
The first few hours after the 27th of November, we saw that the number went up from 48,000 to almost 280,000 people who got displaced so far. And if the situation continues evolving in that pace, we're expecting collectively around 1.5 million people that will be displaced and will be requiring our support.
India has also noted recent escalation in fighting in Syria and is closely following the developments.
We have noted that there has been recent escalation in fighting in North Syria. We are closely following the situation. There are about 90 Indian nationals, we understand. There are also several Indians there who are working with UN organizations. Our embassy is in regular touch with our Indian nationals for their safety and security.
Meanwhile, the foreign ministers of Iran, Iraq and Syria met in the Iraqi capital Baghdad and discussed recent developments in Syria. In another incident, a truck dragged the toppled statue head of former Syrian President Hafez al-Assad through the streets of Hama, and rebels celebrated the capture of Syrian city. Hafez al-Assad was the Syrian president from 1971 until his death in 2000. He was succeeded by his son Bashar al-Assad. Syria has been gripped by foreign-sponsored terrorism since March 2011, with Damascus saying the Western states and their regional allies are aiding terror groups to wreak havoc in the Arab country. Aman Kumar Himanshu's report for DD India.
The South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol faces the possibility of impeachment after his controversial declaration of martial law, which saw heavily armed soldiers deployed on the streets of Seoul. Lawmakers are now discussing a special prosecutor investigation into the treason allegations with a vote on impeachment set for Saturday. The outcome could hinge on the support from members of Yoon's Conservative Party. More in this report.
South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol is facing the possibility of impeachment after deploying heavily armed soldiers on the streets of Seoul, with a baffling declaration of martial law that reminded many of the country's past military-backed dictatorships. President Yeol grew increasingly isolated on Friday after the head of his ruling party came out in support of impeaching him.
지난 계엄령 선포 당일에
Considering the newly emerging facts, I believe that a swift suspension of President Yoon Suk Yeol's duties is necessary to safeguard the Republic of Korea and its people. I believe that if President Yoon continues to hold the office of the presidency, there is a significant risk that extreme actions similar to the martial law declaration could be repeated.
정치인들 체포를 위해서 정보기관을 동원했던 사실을
Meanwhile, South Korean lawmakers discussed a special prosecutor investigation request on treason allegations over the declaration of martial law by President Yoon Suk Yeol.
이 법에 대해서 말씀드리면 이번 비상계엄 선포에 대해
The bill allows for an investigation into the recent declaration of martial law through a special prosecutor. President Yoon Suk Yeol's recent martial law declaration cannot be free from suspicions of violating the constitution and committing acts of treason.
위반하고 법률을 위반한 국헌문란 내란
South Korean lawmakers are set to vote on Saturday on whether to impeach President Yoon Suk Yeol. The impeachment motion needs support from 2/3 of the National Assembly to advance to the Constitutional Court. With 192 seats in the 300-member National Assembly, opposition would also need some support from some members of the President's Conservative People Power Party to get the majority. Amid the unfolding events in South Korea, many countries, including India, which has economic and diplomatic ties with South Korea, are closely monitoring the political situation.
We have strong economic and political partnership. We are obviously monitoring the developments in South Korea. We have very strong investment trade linkages. We have very strong defense cooperation with South Korea. We also have very strong people-to-people ties in South Korea. We also have a large number of Indian nationals who live in South Korea. All these developments, we continue to maintain a close watch.
With the chaos enveloping democracy in South Korea, the story of the brief martial law and the impeachment move has dominated global headlines. However, North Korea, the secretive neighbor to the north, has so far remained notably silent on the developments. Rabindra Chauhan for DD India.
And French President Emmanuel Macron has vowed to name the new Prime Minister in the coming days to replace Michel Barnier, who was toppled by a no-confidence vote just after 3 months in office. Macron did not announce a name in an address to the nation late on Thursday, and the appointment is no longer expected before Monday. Barnier was Macron's 5th Prime Minister since coming to power in 2017. Each successive premier has served for a shorter period than their predecessor, and given the composition of the National Assembly, there is no guarantee that Barnier's successor will last any longer than he did. Meanwhile, Emmanuel Macron did not set any preconditions on any subject during the consultations with a view to appointing a new Prime Minister, and absolutely did not ask the socialists to detach themselves from hard leftists. La France Insoumise said that the Socialist Party First Secretary Olivier Faure, following a meeting with the President at the Élysée Palace.
Nous avons ensuite
Macron did not set any preconditions on any subject during the consultations with a view to appointing a new Prime Minister, and absolutely did not ask the socialists to detach themselves from hard leftists.
Russian President Vladimir Putin touched down in the Belarusian capital Minsk for a meeting with his counterpart Alexander Lukashenko, where the two are expected to conclude a treaty on mutual security guarantees. Russia and Belarus share an alliance within the Union state, which is a borderless union between the two neighboring countries. Russian media quoted Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Pankin saying that work will continue on the BRICS settlement system rather than on a new international currency. Despite US President-elect Donald Trump's recent threats to impose 100% tariffs on countries that try to undermine the dollar, Trump last week demanded that BRICS member countries commit to not creating a new currency or supporting any other currency that would replace the US dollar. And Procter & Gamble has overhauled its supply chain in the tiny extra thin strips of stainless steels in its Gillette razors to a source from India, a move expected to help protect its margins from any tariffs US President-elect Donald Trump may impose. The stainless steel, the Gillette brand razor maker usually uses high specialized techniques to prevent nicks and cuts and is only produced in large quantities by a handful of companies, none of which are located in the US. Procter & Gamble have told the US Commerce Department in public filings. An analysis of the import records over the past 4 years show that P&G has shifted where it buys the stainless steel for its top grooming brands in the United States, its biggest market, to a cheaper Indian manufacturer, a move that may help it offset higher costs in Trump's second term. Global trade is expected to reach a record $33 trillion in 2024, up $1 trillion from 2023, according to the UN Conference on Trade and Development. This represents an annual growth of 3.3%, showcasing the resilience of global trade despite ongoing challenges. UNCTAD's latest global trade update, the robust growth in the trade services, which increased by 7% this year, contributed significantly to this expansion, accounting for half of the overall growth. In contrast, goods trade grew by modest 2%, remaining below the 2022 peak. The report highlights challenges for developing economies, traditional key drivers of global trade. These economies faced a 1% contraction in imports and similar decreases in South-South trade during Q3 of 2024. We'll now we'll bring you a discussion in the studio with a special guest on Bangladesh. World Bank announces record $100 billion support for world's poorest countries.
While our needs have expanded, the places where we live are becoming increasingly more and more vulnerable. Let's take a look at some of these ideas and examples of how this is being done.
We do traffic survey, basically traffic volume survey. Many intersection has now zero fatalities and injuries. The streets has zero dust pollution now.
Palmyra bags, it negates the destruction of the root structure because we do not remove these bags. Over a period of few weeks, it gets totally degraded and mixes with the soil, which also avoids the plastic pollution.
Fish feces is known as sludge and can be used for plantain farming. This is how I started smart integrated farming, which didn't only help my plantain farming, but also all the other crops that I started to grow.
You're watching DD India Live, India News Hour. I'm Amritpal Singh. As the concerns grow over safety of minorities in Bangladesh, India on Friday reiterated its stance that it's expected that individuals get fair and transparent trial and all the legal rights will be respected. Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson said that India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri will visit Bangladesh on Monday. The US State Department's Hindustani language spokesperson Margaret McLeod has described the situation as troubling. Here's a report.
Atrocities against religious minorities, especially Hindus in Bangladesh, have sparked global concerns. Many countries and groups have expressed their concerns over treatment of minorities in Bangladesh. Reiterating its stand, India's Ministry of External Affairs on Friday said it expects that concerned individuals' cases will be handled in a fair and transparent manner.
We want to reiterate our position again that, they have legal rights, and we hope that these legal rights will be respected and that the trial will be fair, transparent. They will get a fair and transparent trial.
The spokesperson of India's Ministry of External Affairs also said that India's Foreign Secretary will visit Bangladesh on December 9 to meet his counterpart.
Foreign Secretary is is scheduled to visit Bangladesh on 9th of December, and he will meet his counterpart, and there will be several other meetings during the visit. Foreign Office consultations led by the Foreign Secretary is a structured engagement between India and Bangladesh. We look forward to this meeting.
Voicing concerns over mistreatment of minorities in Bangladesh, the US State Department's Hindustani language spokesperson described the situation as troubling.
अमरीकी सरकार बहुत चिंताजनक समझते हैं ये खबरें जो हम अभी बांग्लादेश से आ रही हैं और हम ध्यान से देखते हैं। हमारी उम्मीद है कि हर एक व्यक्ति पूरे क्षेत्र में अपने धर्म और अपने विश्वास के मुताबिक अपनी जीवन जी सके। हम यही फिक्र हमारे सभी साझेदारों के साथ बात करते हैं, जिनमें से इंटरिम गवर्नमेंट ऑफ बांग्लादेश भी शामिल है।
Many analysts have termed mistreatment of minorities in Bangladesh as the worst atrocities against religious minorities since the Bangladeshi Liberation War of 1971.
The attacks on the minorities, the attacks on the Hindus and all the other minorities, Buddhist, Christian, other communities, they have increased so much that since 1971, such attacks on minorities have not been seen in Bangladesh. And how the fact that nobody is being apprehended and punished is the reason why the attacks are continuing. So the administration of Professor Muhammad Yunus is in complete denial, because all these attacks have been taking place, according to every evidence, by the Islamist organizations, by the Jamaat-e-Islami, by the Islami Chhatra Shibir, the Students' Wing and other organizations. It's complete mayhem, it's a mobocracy.
Bangladesh Hindu-Buddhist Christian Unity Council also condemned the recent attacks on Hindus in Bangladesh. Cornered by the international community over attacks against minorities, the head of interim government of Bangladesh, Professor Yunus, interacted with Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist and Christian communities in Dhaka on Thursday. Yunus pledged to take measures to create an environment to prevent such incidents in future. Concerns grew in Bangladesh over safety of minorities after the arrest of religious leader Chinmoy Krishnadas, who was arrested at Dhaka airport on November 25. With inputs from Jessica Taneja and Shubhendu Ghosh, Fuzel Ahmed for DD India.
And to talk more about that, I'm joined by Ambassador Veena Sikri. She is a former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh. She joins us. Thank you, Ambassador Sikri, for joining us. Welcome on the show. Now that the MEA or the Ministry of External Affairs has announced that Foreign Secretary will be visiting Dhaka on Monday to hold consultations with his counterparts and other stakeholders, possibly meet call on Muhammad Yunus. What sort of outcome do you expect from this meeting, or should we realistically expect from this meeting?
Well, our government from day one, from the day 8th of August that Professor Muhammad Yunus's interim administration took charge, has always said that we are prepared to talk to the interim administration. We are prepared to continue the relationship between India and Bangladesh. We want it to benefit peoples of both countries, and we're prepared to follow up on the projects, the very large number of projects of connectivity, infrastructure, power supply, energy trade that have developed over the last decade and a half. So that's fine. It's in that very normalcy of things that the Foreign Secretary of India is going for the Foreign Office consultations to Dhaka. It will just be a day's visit. Nonetheless, having said that, it is also very clear that ever since the 5th of August, since the day Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina left the country, there have been a major series of attacks on the minority communities of Bangladesh. This is about 15 million people. We're talking about a very large number of people. The Hindus are the largest group within the 15 million minorities. About 13 million are the Hindus. Then there are about 1 million Buddhists, 500,000 Christians and others. So I think that we have to look at the way in which attacks were unleashed, because Bangladesh media has written about it. Bangladesh media has described in great detail how, between say 5 and 20 of August, in a space of just 15 days, how the attacks took place on Hindu families, on homes, on business establishments, on grabbing of land, grabbing of all kinds of properties of the minorities. And it's a very, very stark factor that has been revealed by these reports which appeared in the Prathamalo. Now, I know that after that, what has happened is that there's been a clampdown on the media, and the media is now not allowed to report on such matters. And we have, on the one hand, a complete denial, a blanket denial by the President Mohammad Yunus-led interim administration. And they're saying these reports are completely exaggerated, and they're accusing the Indian media of propaganda. I mean, this is absolutely amazing, because when you see that how they are in complete denial about what is happening to their own citizens, they are completely tone deaf to what their own citizens are saying. And really, by telling India that it is your media which is exaggerating, they are actually accusing their own people, all 15 million minorities, of not telling the truth, of making it all up. And we know that in the case of the Chinmoy Krishan Das, who used to be with ISKCON earlier, and who is now the spokesperson of a group called the Bangladesh Samilita Sanatani Jagran Jyot. Now, this group has actually rallied the Hindus and other minorities in Bangladesh. They've had a large number of very peaceful rallies, because the important feature this time is that the minority communities do not want to leave Bangladesh. They say, no, we want to stay here. The younger generation says, we are citizens of this country and we want our rights as citizens of this country. So they have made an 8-point demand asking for a law to protect minorities, a ministry to protect minorities, asking for judicial action and arrest of those who have committed these acts of violence and looting against the Hindus and other minorities. A very, very simple and effective list of demands.
Okay.
But nobody in the government is willing to talk to them about it. In fact, the Mohammad Yunus administration is pretending that these demands don't exist. Because the
Ambassador, the question arises, why is Mohammad Yunus not putting a lid on it? Is he not in control, or he doesn't want to do it?
Well, you're right. He's either unable or he's unwilling. I mean, it's got to be one of those two things. And I think that it is perhaps a bit of both. Let me explain why. He's unable because he's not in control. He is not in control. It is the Jamaat-e-Islami, it is the very, conservative Islamist organizations, political parties like Jamaat-e-Islami, the students' wing, the Islami Chhatra Shibir, and, organizations like Hifazat-e-Islam, Hizb ut-Tahrir. These organizations are really calling the shots. They are controlling the show. In fact, the students' wing is forcing decisions on the people by what can only be described as a mobocracy. Mobs getting together and attacking people. They forced the former Chief Justice of Supreme Court to resign. They forced the judges to resign. They have been going to Hindu school teachers and forcing them to resign. They've been going to Hindu professors and forcing them to resign. Hindu government employees and forcing them to resign. Hindu sub-inspectors of the police. I believe somebody, a newspaper, media has actually written that maybe there's no sub-inspector left now from the Hindu community in the Bangladesh police force. So, these are the kind of actions that have been taking place, done by these Islamic organizations, but the administration doesn't want to hear that it's the Islamic organizations, and they actually want to live in an Alice in Wonderland world, thinking that they are taking all these decisions. So this is the part of being unable. Unwilling is, I think, that maybe Professor Mohammed Yunus feels that fine, let this go on. I mean, why should I interfere? So he makes all these meetings and he does all these statements, but nothing happens. In fact, in one case, in a very famous temple in Bangladesh, Jeshwareshwari Kali Mandir, where there's a beautiful idol of Ma Kali, and a gold crown had been gifted to this temple by Prime Minister Modi on his recent visit. And this was stolen during Durga Puja. While the administration in Bangladesh says that Durga Puja is observed by everybody peacefully, actually this was stolen this year on October 10th during the... But the visuals are there. I've seen the CC camera footage which came on a lot of programs, and the person is there stealing it, but no action has been taken, no arrests have been made. Similarly,
therefore you're concluding that he's unwilling to put a lid on this.
It looks like, and also unable because he's not in control.
No, but why would he be unwilling? I mean, as in you say that he would say that why do I need to do it? Because of his image, which is being tarnished, and his country's image, which is being tarnished all around the world. It's not just India saying it. The West is saying it. UK parliamentarians are saying it. The Americans are saying it. When he was appointed, his critique said that he's a Western stooge, etc., or their appointee. So his own backers are saying, are now critiquing him. So why would he want to risk that?
I think because he really seems to be, very helpless. That means he even if he were to take a decision, it couldn't be implemented. He doesn't have the administrative support to implement any decision, because the police force, so many of the policemen were killed after Sheikh Hasina left the country, and the police stations were looted. Thousands, about 12,000 arms issued to police stations have been looted. So, there's no police force. The army has been given magistracy powers and police powers, but their implementation is very little. They're doing very little. So it is really these Islamic groups and their youth wings that are running around the country and taking decisions. And the media has been told to just write nothing about it.
Okay. Ambassador Sikri, one last thing before I let go of you. As things stand today, Khaleda Zia and her party, the BNP, clearly would have the advantage whenever the elections are called for, with Sheikh Hasina out, the Awami League's cadres, running, scooting, taking shelter, etc. So I understand when Sheikh Hasina was ousted, you had that kind of, mayhem by the Islamists, by the students. Now things have settled down. Khaleda Zia would come to power whenever the elections are held. So why would they want to risk everything? Why wouldn't they want to contain their cadres right now and say, look, we are on our way into power, now back off, we don't need to do this?
Well, as I said, if it is the Jamaat-e-Islami which is in control, and today there is a sharp difference of opinion between the BNP and the Jamaat-e-Islami.
Okay.
At one time they were in alliance in the same government when I was there as High Commissioner. But now there certainly seems to be at least a wing of the BNP that does not want to be with the Jamaat-e-Islami, and the Jamaat-e-Islami on its own thinks that they want power on their own because they've been allowed to take power like this. And they want power on their own. They want to keep the BNP out, and they are doing their best to delay the elections so that they can, get some more vote share because there isn't anybody else. So the BNP, of course, has also been participating in these extortionist activities in many parts of the country. What they accused the Awami League of doing earlier, they are doing now. So the key factor is the holding of free, fair and inclusive elections. Now, it's not just the BNP and Jamaat. If any elections are to be held in Bangladesh, they must be inclusive. Recently, President Mohammed Yunus had a national unity meeting where he called all the political parties. But he did not invite either Awami League or the Jatiyo Party, which is the party started by former President Ershad. So if you're going to leave out something like 40% of the popular vote, then how can you call it national unity? So this is the point. And instead you are talking about all kinds of reforms, you're having reports written. Reports are fine, you can have reports written, but adoption of reforms can only be done by an elected parliament.
Okay.
So elections are the answer, and they should be held very soon, but they have to be inclusive in addition to free and fair.
True. So you're saying there's a power struggle between the Jamaat and the BNP now.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
We'll see how this turns out, but things don't look good. Let's see what the Foreign Secretary's visit yields. Hope he's able to, get the Bangladeshis to see some sense into how things can be rectified. Ambassador Veena Sikri, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us on the show. And the World Bank announced a record $100 billion US dollar support to the world's poorest countries. In order to help some of the world's poorest countries, the World Bank on Thursday said that it has raised nearly $24 billion. This money can be used to create a record $100 billion in overall spending power. Donor countries have committed $23.7 billion to replenish the bank's concessional lending arm known as the International Development Association, or the IDA. The IDA mainly provides grants to support the world's 78 poorest countries, covering everything from economic impact to COVID-19 pandemic to climate change adaptation. The bank can use this money to borrow on financial markets, allowing it to leverage the amount raised by around 4 times, unlocking around $100 billion in new loans and grants, up from $93 billion in 2021. The World Bank's announcement follows 2 days of talks in the South Korean capital, Seoul. And still to come up on DD India NewsHour, INS Tushil to be commissioned in Russia. Mitchell Stark's 6-wicket haul helps Australia dominate opening day of Adelaide Test against India.
Is there some warmth building up on the India-China front after a long period of chill?
Galwan has been the biggest game changer, a turning point in Indian perception of the defense preparedness. They have underestimated the capability and the staying power of Indian armed forces. It's a big lesson for China.
When this government took over, they were very clear from day one. They allocated very high budget on development of infrastructure. The kind of infrastructure development that we have done has put China on a slight back foot.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Amritpal Singh. A special focus on Indian government in the last decade has been the empowerment of the disabled and to ensure their inclusivity in the mainstream. In line with this, PMModi DTH channel number 31 for Indian Sign Language was launched to ensure that people with hearing impairment are not devoid of opportunities. Priti Kaur gets us more in this report ahead.
With an aim to standardize Indian Sign Language across the country, in line with the National Education Policy 2020, PMModi DTH channel number 31 for Indian Sign Language was launched by Union Minister for Education Dharmendra Pradhan in the national capital. This initiative is specially designed for hearing impaired students so that they can get equal opportunities. Union Minister for Skill Development Jayant Chaudhary was also present at the launch event and highlighted the significance of rights-oriented framework that has been devised by the government to ensure inclusivity. Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan highlighted how Channel 1 will prove to be a milestone in the education sector in the country.
ये नई पीढ़ी की भाषा है, जेन जी की भाषा है। चैनल 31 को भारत में लोकप्रिय बनानी पड़ेगी। इसके कारण भारत की विचार, भारत की दृष्टि साइन लैंग्वेज के माध्यम से विश्व की इमर्जिंग इकोनॉमी में भी पहुंच सकता है। ये गेटवे आज हम चैनल 31 के माध्यम से खोले।
पहले कानून था पीपल विद डिसेबिलिटीज एक्ट और अब 2016 में कानून पारित हुआ है वो राइट्स ऑफ पीपल विद डिसेबिलिटीज एक्ट। एक राइट्स ओरिएंटेड फ्रेमवर्क बनाया है। सिर्फ 7 पहले डिसेबिलिटीज को पहचान मिलती थी, संरक्षण मिलता था, उनके लिए योजनाएं बन सकती थी, उसे बढ़ाकर 21 तक ले जाया गया।
The establishment of a dedicated PMModi DTH channel for Indian Sign Language reflects the government's commitment to addressing the educational needs of children with hearing impairment. Topics covered on the channel will include skill development, career guidance, mental health, communication skills, and class-specific curricular content, ensuring that learners with hearing disability can access high-quality educational resources in sign language. Launch of PMModi DTH Channel 31 is a revolutionary step to ensure that Indian Sign Language is not just used as a language, but as a school subject also. This in turn will lead to inclusivity for the deaf people in the educational system of the country. With my colleague Sharad Mudgal and camera person Sunil, this is Preeti Kaur for DD India.
The Indian Navy will commission its latest stealth frigate INS Toshil in Russia's Kaliningrad on Monday. The ceremony will be attended by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh along with officials from both countries. INS Toshil is the first of the two additional ships built under a 2016 contract with Russia. It features advanced Russian and Indian technologies with 26% indigenous content and systems from the Indian OEMs like BrahMos Aerospace and Bharat Electronics. After successful trials, including weapon firings, INS Toshil will arrive in India combat ready. Named the Protector Shield, the motto reflects India's commitment to safeguarding maritime borders. The ship will join the Western Fleet, enhancing India's defense capabilities and strengthening India-Russia ties. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time for some sports news now. Australian pace spearhead Mitchell Starc took 6 wickets as India were crumbled to 180 all out on the first day of the second test in Adelaide on Friday. Starc gave Australia a dream start by removing Yashasvi Jaiswal with the first ball of the match, while Scott Boland and Pat Cummins both grabbed 2 wickets each. Australian bowlers were on the top as 6 Indian wickets went down in second session. With India in trouble, Nitish Kumar Reddy decided to take charge. He reached his highest test score of 42 before he fell to Starc. In reply, Australia made a cautious start. They were 86 for the loss of 1 wicket at the close of the play. And India's premier pacer Jasprit Bumrah has achieved a remarkable feat by becoming the first bowler to bag 50 test wickets in the 2024 season. Bumrah reached his milestone during an ongoing Adelaide test, dismissing opener Usman Khwaja for India's first breakthrough on day 1. In the men's Under-19 Asia Cup ODI cricket, India cruised to the final with a 7-wicket win over Sri Lanka in the semi-finals on Friday. Fast bowler Chetan Sharma restricted Sri Lanka to 174 while bowling first, and then openers Vaibhav Suryavanshi and Ayush Matre shone again to lead India to an easy win in the second semi-final in Sharjah. India chased down the target in just 21.4 overs. India will face Bangladesh in the final on Sunday, with the latter thrashing in-form Pakistan in the first semi-final in Dubai. The 10th Asia-Pacific Deaf Games 2024, currently underway in Malaysia, has witnessed outstanding performances from athletes across the region. India has made a strong showing, with its athletes securing a total of 28 medals so far. India's remarkable achievements include securing the 3rd rank in athletics, highlighting the nation's prowess in this sport. India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati recently launched Waves, an OTT platform. Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audience. If you also want great content for free, then download Waves today. That's it in this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can download the app to get the latest updates. That's the DD India's mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code that you see on your screens right now to download. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amritpal Singh from my entire team here in Delhi. Thank you for watching DD India News Hour.